Rudy Gobert gets traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and according to ESPN, the Timberwolves got a D grade from this. Meanwhile, the Utah Jazz ends up getting an A grade, and I am very perplexed by this more than anything else, in the sense that I don't think this is a D grade. I don't. I know a lot of people do not like Rudy Gobert, especially on NBA social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. A lot of people don't like Rudy Gobert. Heck, a lot of influencers, personalities do not like Rudy Gobert. Why do they not like Rudy Gobert? Because the guy is a defensive specialist who gets exposed off pick and rolls and is a terrible perimeter defender. But I will say this though, every great defender has a hole in their defense. For instance, like Marcus Smart is DPOY, right? But we can safely admit that he's not like the greatest defensive player out there in the world. We can even say someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis, despite being a DPOY player, we can all admit is not going to guard Steph Curry, or he's not going to guard Anthony Davis or even LeBron James. The guy is an amazing off-ball defender, but he's not going to be the guy to go shut down people in 1v1s, especially against spirit players. So every great defensive player does have a kink in their defensive scheme here. So for Rudy Gobert, the guy is like grade A+ level inside rim protector. The guy's a great defender in the inside. Now in the perimeter, well, at that point, now you need other great perimeter defenders to back him up, and he makes your defense become amazing. But still, one single guy cannot anchor an entire defense. And when he was playing with the Utah Jazz, that team lacked perimeter defense. It really did. Other than players like Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles, that team lacked defense. It really did. And that's why a lot of people were really hard on Rudy Gobert, because they expected him to be like the problem solver, to be the fixer of the team, when really he just one piece to making a defensive team great. Like, look at every championship winning team here. Every championship winning team has multiple great defenders, not just one single great defender. They might have one great defender, but the other defenders around that one great defender are also really good. And so I believe that Rudy Gobert really got a lot of flack for no good reason, though, when he was playing for the Jazz when it came to defense. Now, was a D grade for the Timberwolves. Well, the Timberwolves went from a first-round exit to potentially, at worst, a second-round exit, which is not a bad thing. I mean, what did they give up for improving the roster and making things better? They gave up Malik Beasley, who was incredibly inconsistent. He is the winner of the J.R. Smith Award from last year, in the sense that this guy is incredibly consistent. He can be a complete sharpshooter, getting 30 points, getting like 5 consecutive 3-pointers in like one quarter. All right. And the next game later, the guy has like 2 points. So Malik Beasley leaving the Timberwolves is something that I saw coming a long mile away. Patrick Beverley. All right, it's Patrick Beverley. Like, in terms of value, Rudy Gobert is much more value than Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley is a guy who is pretty much coasting on reputation. He's still a good player, but like, he's definitely a trade-worthy like asset type player. Walker Kessler, like, you don't really need anything from him. Jared Vanderbilt, great rebounder. He's a terrible perimeter defender. It's weird. Vanderbilt is a guy who fits the mold of 3-and-D minus a 3 aspect, and his D's only focused in on like the low post, but he plays perimeter. But he makes a great undersized power forward to center, but he shouldn't play power forward to center. It's strange with him. Leandro Bolmaro and 4 first-round picks. So it was said here. So who wrote this thing? Who wrote this? ESPN. Blah blah. Okay, so Kevin Pelton. So Kevin Pelton's logic as to why the Timberwolves got a D is that he's intrigued by the idea of the Timberwolves putting Towns to power forward. And for me, I think that's perfect. Karl-Anthony Towns is a terrible defender, an amazing offensive player. No doubt about that. Great offensive player. He's arguably the best offensive big man in the NBA. He's arguably one of the top 5 best offensive players in the entire league. But his defense is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Atrocious defense. And that's why they got Rudy Gobert for him. Because Karl-Anthony Towns has the same issue that Davis has, where you are obviously a great center, and you give so much options in the center position as opposed to the power forward position, but you don't like playing center. not only do you not like playing center, you are uncomfortable playing center. And your job is a lot more harder playing center because now you'll be a lot more, physicality down the center. You also have to do a lot more like pick and roll action. And also you got to do a lot more help defense. With a power forward, you don't have that responsibility compared to a center. So it's just a lot more convenient and a lot more easy for Towns to move over to power forward position and have Rudy Gobert have all the issues and have all the difficulties of playing center. That's why you have players like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard play center for the Lakers. Even though Anthony Davis should play center, you have those two players play center because they make the life of Davis a lot more easier. And what this trade does is that it makes the life of Karl-Anthony Towns a lot more easier on both offense and on defense. So that's what Rudy Gobert provides. Now, they gave up 4 first-round picks, and I argue that's perfectly fine. That's fine. Because the team is full of young talents. Karl-Anthony Towns is not even, I think he's not even 25 yet. You got Anthony Edwards, who, without a doubt of my mind, is going to be a 25 points per game scorer. You got D'Angelo Russell, and whatever your opinion is on D'Angelo Russell, whether you think he's overrated or underrated, whatever your opinion is on him, you think that his run during the Brooklyn Nets was a complete fluke. You know what? D'Angelo Russell, he is best as a third option. The days of him being the guy, I think, is gone. Him trying to be a second option, I think they forced it too much. But nearing the tail end of the season, it became Towns, Edwards, then D'Angelo Russell. And then with someone like Rudy Gobert, who will give you maybe like 11 to 13 points per game. Because here's the thing. These players here, Malik Beasley is a shot chucker. So is Patrick Beverley. And Jared Vanderbilt never really provided him a score in the first place. So Rudy Gobert will also alleviate some of the offense from Russell, which will make his life a lot more easier. And also, this team is a jump shooting team, not a slashing team. So you can have Rudy Gobert clog up the paint. This is a very big team, very athletic, strong team. And I believe this team, if everything goes right, especially with the developments of Anthony Edwards, along with Rudy Gobert and his synergy, along with Karl-Anthony Towns, even if D'Angelo Russell even doesn't play that good, even if Russell averages somewhere between the ballpark of 16 to 19 points per game, this team is definitely a threat. And I personally see the Minnesota Timberwolves becoming conference finals, participants. They can honestly make the conference finals. Heck, I believe that this team's ceiling could potentially even be in the finals. I love this trade. This trade is great. It's full of players who are deemed unlikable by many members of the NBA community, and I understand it, and I get that. 4 first-round picks might be too much for Rudy Gobert, for what he provides, since you're only looking at purely from the defensive end scheme. But half the game is defense, so I think it's worth it. The team already has young talent. You don't need any more young talent, and you're always going to find players available in the free agency market. And if this team does really well for themselves in the next upcoming season, they can get even more free agents that can help bolster this team. Anthony Edwards is going towards his 2nd season, and when he does, blossom into that 25 points per game scorer, he's going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, the Utah Jazz, though, they end up getting an A, and you know what? This makes sense. We don't know what the future is for the Jazz. They are set to be rebuilding. I think that it's time for a rebuild. It just didn't plan out that well with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and Joe Ingles. This team needed a secondary or third scorer in the squad, and they just didn't have that. They were just really heavily dependent on Gobert and on Mitchell. This team had a good run. Mitchell right now is rumored to be potentially traded to somewhere else. And if the Jazz want to rebuild, I think this is the best time. Gobert has great trade value. So does Donovan Mitchell. It's sad to see Donovan Mitchell and Gobert no longer at the Jazz. Well, no, Mitchell is still part of the Jazz for now. But right now, with the way how things are going, I expect Mitchell, if not traded sometime this season, potentially next season right now. And the best route for the Jazz is to go and rebuild. I'm the Showpod Guy. Once again, feel free to hit like, subscribe if you want to. You totally don't have to if you don't want to do so, but really cool if you did. And so until next time, see you guys later for more NBA news.